welcome back. Thanks for joining. So today we are going to make garlic butter chicken tenders. So for this recipe, I am strictly going to show you how to make the chicken. So you can absolutely serve this with rice, with salad, with vegetables. You can absolutely serve it with other things as well, which I do highly recommend. But for the purpose of this recipe, I'm strictly going to show you how to make the chicken tenders. Okay, so before we get started, I'm gonna go over the ingredients that you're gonna need for this recipe. So you're gonna need butter, a single lemon, lemon juice, Italian seasoning, cayenne pepper, smoked paprika, either fresh or dried parsley, garlic, salt, and then a couple pieces of boneless chicken breast that we are going to be cutting into pieces. So the recipe calls for about 1 pound, so that's about 2 large chunks here. Okay, so go ahead and grab those ingredients. What you're also gonna need is you're gonna need a non-stick skillet. You're gonna need a bowl so we can season our chicken. And then you're gonna need some measuring spoons, a knife, and a cutting board to start off with. So go ahead and gather all of that equipment and ingredients, wash your hands, and then come back and we will get started. Okay, so now that you have all your ingredients together, we are going to start cutting our chicken. So in front of me, I have my chicken, I have my Italian seasoning, my smoked paprika, and my cayenne pepper. So this is what we're gonna be seasoning the chicken tenders with once we put them into the bowl here. So you can kind of cut your chicken in a couple different ways. If you want bigger pieces, you can leave them into bigger pieces. If you want smaller pieces, you can leave them in smaller pieces. But just remember not to cross-contaminate. So as soon as you're done touching your raw meat, you need to wash your hands right away before you go ahead and touch other things. So let's go ahead and get started. So I'm gonna cut my chicken into small strips. So I'm just gonna cut down here, like so. And then I'm going to cut them in little pieces from there. So I'm going to, let's do 3 pieces. If you like bigger pieces of chicken, you can keep them in bigger pieces. You can kind of use your personal preference here. But just make sure when you do this, you have boneless, skinless chicken breast. And we're gonna put it in our bowl here because that's where we're gonna be seasoning our chicken. Okay, so there's one. I'm gonna go ahead and do the second one now. What a lot of people might do is they might cut like this and then leave their chicken in these kind of strips. That's totally fine if that's what you would like to do. I just prefer to cut chicken into little pieces, and that's what my family prefers as well. So that's what I'm doing for this recipe. Okay, so there is my chicken. So what I'm gonna do is I am going to put away some of the stuff, including my cutting board, my knife, and my raw chicken here, this stuff that I've been using, and then we're gonna come back and we're gonna season this chicken. So keep this here. I'm just gonna clear off my working table here. I'm gonna wash my hands and we'll be right back. Okay, so now in front of me, I just have my chicken and I have my 3 spices that I'm gonna be seasoning my chicken with. So I'm gonna go ahead and measure out 1 teaspoon of smoked paprika. 1 teaspoon of smoked paprika. You're also gonna wanna grab a butter knife so you can level off your measuring spoons. Okay. So 1 teaspoon, just gonna level that out there. And I'm gonna sprinkle it over my chicken. And then we need about 3 dashes of cayenne pepper. So my bottle of cayenne pepper has these little holes here. If yours doesn't, I would say measure out approximately half a teaspoon, whereas I'm gonna go like this. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so now Italian seasoning. We are going to measure out approximately, let's do 1 teaspoon of Italian seasoning. So what I'm actually gonna do is I'm gonna open this up. So 1 teaspoon of Italian seasoning. Level that off and then sprinkle it over your chicken. Okay, so now, again, it's really important that before you touch anything after this, we are going to use our hands and we are just going to kind of mix up our chicken in the bowl here to make sure that all of the seasoning is covering all of the chicken. You're more than welcome to use gloves for this as well if you're uncomfortable with touching chicken when it's raw, but just make sure if you're using your hands like I am, you're gonna wash your hands immediately after before touching anything else in your kitchen. So as you can see, the seasoning is kind of getting all over my chicken now, which is what I want. Okay, so that looks really nice. So we're gonna leave it at that. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna wash my hands, and then what you're gonna do is you're gonna get your skillet ready. So you are going to melt 3 tablespoons of butter on your skillet, and then we're gonna start cooking our chicken. So I will be right back to do that step with you. Okay, so we have moved over to the stove now. So I have 3 tablespoons of butter melting in my pan. So again, that's 3 tablespoons of butter. And what we're gonna do is as soon as the butter is nice and melted and sizzling, that's when we're gonna add our chicken. So just so you're aware, I have my stove on medium heat right now. So we're gonna start using that, and then we'll go from there. So I'm just gonna swish around this butter so it's everywhere. And then again, we will add our chicken as soon as our butter is sizzling and fully melted. So I'm gonna use tongs for my chicken just because I feel like it's the easiest to use. But feel free to use a fork if you think that that's the easiest for you. Okay. So my butter is melted and sizzling, so I'm gonna start adding my chicken. And it's important that you add it in a single layer, not in multiple layers. So hopefully you're following along and that you're adding your chicken right now to your pan. And you're gonna hear a really nice sizzle. Those spices look really nice on our chicken right now. If you need to do this in a couple different stages, that's fine. Depending how big your pan is, your chicken may or may not fit all on at once. Okay, so there's all my chicken on my pan. So now what we need to do at this point, my pan is still on medium heat. We need to leave this uninterrupted for about 2 to 3 minutes or less. So chicken cooks quite fast, so I recommend you keep an eye on it. We're gonna cook it on this side for about 2 minutes. We'll start with 2 minutes, and then we're going to flip it over and cook the other side. In the meantime, while you're keeping an eye on your chicken, what I need you to get ready is I need you to get your garlic ready. So I'm gonna use about 1 teaspoon of garlic, and then go ahead and get ready another tablespoon of butter. So go ahead and do that as you keep an eye on your chicken. Okay, so our chicken is looking really nice over here. As you can see, it will start browning on either side. On the one side here, I mean. So I'm going to leave that for a little bit longer. Okay, so it's been approximately 2 minutes here. So what I'm going to start doing is I'm going to start flipping over each piece of chicken. So as you can see, chicken cooks really fast. But that looks really, really good. Another thing that you can get ready in the moment here is your lemon wedges. So for this recipe, we are going to use slices of lemon to put in our pan here for some extra flavor. This piece of chicken does not want to flip over. There we go. Yes, so I find using tongs the easiest for this, but it's up to you. Okay, so we are going to cook this on the other side now for about another 2 to 3 minutes. So, like I was mentioning before, you can go ahead and get your lemon slices ready. So this is very, very simple. You're just gonna slice your lemon into thin slices. So I'm not gonna show you how to do that because it's quite easy to do. So you can go ahead and get those ready while your chicken is cooking on the stove. So just like that. I'm gonna use the slices from 1 whole lemon. So this is looking really good here. Now, depending on the size of your pieces, your chicken might take longer to cook. Whereas if you did this in smaller pieces, it will not need as long to cook. That is looking really yummy. So shortly here, we're gonna be adding some more spices. So make sure you have your 1 tablespoon of butter ready. Make sure you have your garlic ready. And then I also recommend that you make sure you have your lemon juice ready. I'm just using bottled lemon juice. And then make sure you have your parsley ready as well as your lemon wedges, because we're gonna be adding those into the pan shortly. A good way to test if your chicken is fully cooked or not is to cut one open and make sure that it is not at all pink on the inside. But that's looking really, really good. So it's nice and buttery and garlicky. So don't be alarmed with the fact that there's so much butter in the pan. That is what we want. It's gonna really add a nice flavor to our chicken here. Okay, so what I'm gonna start doing is I'm gonna start pushing the chicken to the outside of the pan. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna grab my teaspoon of garlic, about a teaspoon of garlic, and put it in the middle of the pan. As well, I'm gonna go ahead and add my extra tablespoon of butter. Now what you're gonna do is you're going to grab some salt, and you're gonna do salt to taste. So there's no set amount of salt, so I'm just going to go ahead and put salt all over my chicken here, like that. Now, what I need you to do is add half a tablespoon of lemon juice. So how I'm gonna measure that out is I'm just gonna take a tablespoon here and measure it about halfway. And then I'm going to put that in there. So this is where we're gonna start adding all of our nice spices here. I'm just gonna mix that in with a wooden spoon now. That looks very yummy and delicious. Okay. So now what I need you to do is grab your chopped parsley. So it's about 1 tablespoon of chopped parsley. Again, you can use dried or fresh. So in goes my 1 tablespoon of parsley. And we are going to stir that in as well. Now I'm going to turn down my heat slightly, and I'm going to add my lemon wedges into my pan. This is just going to give it a really delicious lemon flavor. Okay, just like that. That looks fantastic. So I'm just going to let my chicken actually sit here for a little bit to soak up some of this delicious fresh lemon flavor here. So your chicken, as of right now, is actually ready to serve. So you can serve it with the lemon wedges on your plate if you'd like, or you can just let the lemon slices sit in the pan. It's totally up to you, but it's really going to give the chicken a nice flavor here. So again, like I mentioned at the very beginning of the video, that you can serve this with vegetables, with rice, with salads. I do highly recommend that if you're looking for a larger meal. But this is really delicious on its own as well. So that's it for today's video. Like I said, I was just going to show you how to do the chicken tenders. So thank you so much for joining. Send me a picture of your results, and I will see you next time.